That I would always say, and if you're stuck in a point in your business where you think you can't grow anymore, unlock that, unpick that. Why is that? And then take that next step forward and prove to yourself. And it might be wrong, but what's the worst that can happen? If you can handle your downside, take that step forward and do it again. And then somebody said to me, Guy actually is still in my phone as Yoda, in my 20s, he said the best piece of advice he was ever given was surround yourself with brilliant people. And at the time I thought, well, yeah, that's great, really obvious.
Yeah.
But actually, he was so right that was the best piece of advice he was ever given. And it's back to that point of not needing to ever have the answer, just knowing who to ask, knowing that there's a question and knowing who to ask, and surrounding yourself with brilliant people I mean, I couldn't have done anything without the number of phone calls I make on a weekly basis to people that I know are just better at certain things than I am and are just great as a sense check. And then the third thing for me is I've always stayed very true to my why, like why I do something. And so much of that has been about, I've made the decisions to become an entrepreneur and then actually to sell my first business. All of that was driven by being a mom, and it was very, very, very important to me. And I would be full of regret if I'd have not prioritized that now. I know I would. And I'm really glad that I prioritized and still do. Of course, they're a bit older now, so it's easier. So I can actually do more,
too busy on YouTube, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I've stayed very true to my why, I think.
I think that's an important message, because I was going to say, a lot of people at the start of the journey, the goal in, don't they? And often family life, fitness, time for themselves gets put on the back burner because they're in the pursuit of the business, the success, the money, the whatever.
Yeah.
So I think what you said there is it's most people who I meet who've done a lot reflect and say, well, that's the most important thing, right?
I think there's a reason they say put your own oxygen mask on first, right? And it's, for me, I'm proudly selfish. Does that make, and I mean that really positively. I think it's really important that you have to look after yourself. And I know that, if I don't exercise, or I don't walk, or I don't spend time with my kids, or I don't get to cook, which I love doing, I know I'm going to be awful at everything else. I will feel it inside. I won't be brilliant. And I now know, I'm 52, so I've got the benefit of a lot of hindsight, but I now know that that is so critical to every aspect of my life, to how I lead a business, to how I show up to a board meeting, to how I show up to an event with a friend. All of that's really important, that if I haven't looked after myself, the rest of it starts to crumble.
Affects the rest.
So yeah, I now, I don't think when we talk about being selfish, I think it should be a really positive thing. Obviously, it shouldn't be to the detriment of others, but when you look after yourself, that's a good thing.